podcast. The Halloween Extravaganza 3 continues.
Woo!
What number movie is this? This 8? No, 9?
9?
9, I think. I don't know. I stopped numbering.
I have number 8, but I
Yeah.
think there
Yeah.
might be one in there that we're watching with Luke. 1 or 2.
No, we watch them in order. We watch them all in order, and we never mix up our schedules.
So then this should be 10.
No, I don't know. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Today we watched the 2013 found footage alternate reality of World War II Nazi experiment movie, Frankenstein's Army. I didn't think I'd be able to get that all off in one take, but I did it. How do you feel? First, let's start here. How do you feel about found footage movies? There's lots of them.
I actually really like found footage movies. I feel like
I think
like
you would.
the first person.
Oh shit.
Should I be insulted?
Maybe. Yeah.
The first person perspective is always more scary for me. Like,
Oh, really?
you had said at some point that it gave you like a haunted house feel, and I like that.
Yeah. I typically do not like found footage movies, but the ones that I do like do something different for the genre. Like, everyone's seen Blair Witch,
Yeah.
like Blair Witch was not a good movie, nor was it a good found footage movie. It was like the first one that was popular, or maybe it was the first one in general. I don't know.
I don't know if I've seen the first one, but I definitely saw the remake, and the remake was hot garbage.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want anything to do with the remake. I've never seen it. But, like, Cloverfield, that movie kicks ass. It was something different, like they used the kind of like the night vision for it, so that they could go when they went down to the sewers and they were able to see like the things that were coming. And I thought that was interesting. I'm trying to think. There's one other one of the found footage movies that did something different, and I can't remember what it was.
There's one that we watched with like robots in it. Recently, we watched it like last year or something. I can't remember.
I don't know. But what this one does that I think was interesting for the genre, and I don't know what camera it was supposed to be filmed on, but it has different lenses.
Mm-hmm.
And they do that often in the movie. Not often enough where it becomes annoying, but often enough where it was like, oh yeah, I forgot that they did that. That he like switches lenses, so you can see the lens switch. It zooms in on stuff or makes like a wide angle, which I think is really interesting for the perspective, especially coming from a first person point of view. Like there's a scene where he's investigating the mad doctor, the Dr. Frankenstein's office, and he, instead of walking up to like some of the stuff on the walls, he just kind of like zooms on it to get like a better, and not that he can see really. I mean, he's only got a small viewfinder that he kind of looks through, but it's cool that they do that.
For the viewer's perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that I really like that I picked up right away is that you constantly hear the film reeling in this. Like there's always, you can hear the crank moving. So,
well, especially with the time that it was filmed.
Yeah, in World War II.
Yeah, like the film wouldn't just be like a digital camera.
Yeah. So I read the synopsis of it, and just knowing that it was like this. Basically what it is it's a crew of Russians that are assigned to go into Germany and rescue a Russian squadron that's trapped. And then they have 2 filmographers with them, and they're kind of like documenting everything that happens. And right off the bat, you find out that like some weird shit is going on in the little area that they're investigating, because they come across like a couple of bad guys. There's like a shootout, and that's it. And then they started coming across like some really strange stuff. The first of which is a human body that had like a horse head or a cow head attached to it, and it was like burned up. And they're like, what the fuck is going on out here?
Yeah.
And then they go to the church, or what they assume to be a church, and they found like a bunch of nuns that were burned, and kind of like started discovering things from there. The big synopsis of it that you come to find out is that there's a crazy doctor, Dr. Frankenstein. I know that's that's a crazy one. And he is experimenting on people and making like strange contraptions and weaponry. And the Russians want to recruit him so that he doesn't work for the Nazis anymore. And they send an undercover guy in with this Russian crew, and it was a big lie. There's no Russian group that's stranded in Germany that needs help. Their mission was to go and get the doctor to join Russia. So that was the whole thing. Now, from there, it's kind of this
all over the place.
So first off, I didn't mind it. Like, it was... The acting right off the bat is fucking atrocious.
Terrible.
Like, just absolutely terrible, terrible acting. There's two people that are good, and they luckily take over the last, quarter of the movie. It's just them doing their thing, which was great. Because everyone else in this movie, and there was only like, 10 people that had like speaking lines?
Probably, yeah.
Everyone else, just awful. Just...
So... I asked you this at the beginning of the movie, and you said, wait to ask me on the podcast. How did you find out about this movie? How did you hear about it? Like, what brought us here?
This is actually really cool. So this movie is actually really heavy on the practical effects. There's a lot of practical things that are going on because there's all these crazy monsters that are getting built. Mm-hmm. One of which has... become like an interest of mine. I really, really liked the idea of it when I found out about it. And it's actually because of a Resident Evil video game. So there's one of the newest Resident Evil games is called Village. I want to say it's Resident Evil 8. It came out like in 2020, maybe 2021. I don't really remember. But anyways, there is a monster in that game called Propellerhead.
Oh.
And they stole that idea from this movie.
What?
And didn't give them credit. So the director of this movie, Frankenstein's Army, sued the company that made Resident Evil. Because they ripped... I mean, it's identical.
Well, when he came on, you're like, oh, that's Propellerhead. Like, you knew.
Yeah, I was waiting for him. I was really excited to see him. And goddamn, did he look awesome. It is the best villain or bad guy or monster in this movie. Like, amazing. It's got a World War II airplane propeller motor strapped to this guy's torso. And he, like, runs at people to cut him up and cut him in half with this propeller. He's only in it for what? 30 seconds?
Yeah, maybe.
But it's really cool. The practical effects are absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
The design of it is great. The design is so good that a horror video game company stole it and put it in their game.
That.
Now, I haven't followed up on this. Like, I don't know what the outcome was, but like when I saw the screenshots, like when I saw it in the game, well, because I watched the game I watch people play the game. I don't play Resident Evil games myself, but I watched people play the game. Mm-hmm. And my buddy Tony was watching the game too, and he was like, "Have you made it to Propellerhead yet? That was really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, that is awesome. Like, I really liked that." And then days later, it started coming out that they stole this thing, and someone put up like a screenshot on Twitter. It was like, "This is from the game. This is from the movie," and I was like, "Whoa, that is." Like they don't even try. They don't even try to make it look different. It's identical.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's what made me look this movie up. And after, reading the little synopsis about it, crazy doctor makes crazy things. And I'm like, if Propellerhead is coming out of this, like I gotta see this.
There's gotta be other villains or monsters, whatever that are.
And you know what? That other one was really cool. It was like I don't even know what it was. It was kind of like like a rounded trash can on legs.
Oh, yeah.
It was cute.
It was cute.
You know, and he's just kind of like bopping around and making a bunch of noise. It reminds me of a gonk droid from Star Wars almost. But which leads me to my next point. And I mentioned this just a couple minutes ago. The practical effects are actually awesome in this movie.
They are pretty good.
Like Mosquito Man, that's what I started calling him. He looks like a giant mosquito on stilts, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Really cool. Really, really cool. Some of them that had the giant pinchers for hands. He was cool. I called it Claw Face. It's the one that came out and they had like the head, but had like the mask and it had the claws on it. That reminds me of the robots that were in the nightmare sequence in SpongeBob when he thinks that robots are attacking the city.
Yeah.
And that Mr. Krabs turns into into a robot. Because he's like, there's like a scene where the robot is chasing another guy. And it looked identical to that, which I thought was really cool. And I think that there was a lot of inspiration from other movies in here. Now, mind you, this is 2013, so this is probably around the time that Silent Hill remakes were just, coming up the cusp, because I think that Silent Hill 1 and 2, maybe, or not remakes, I'm sorry, that they were video games and then, movies, but I think 1 and 2 was like 2008, 2009-ish area, maybe 2010. So this is kind of in that same little circumference area of like, have you ever seen the Silent Hill movies?
A long time ago when they first came out. The first one. Yeah,
there's Pyramid Head. The guy that has a giant sword, but he's got like a giant pyramid on his head, which is kind of a crazy design. I kind of got a lot of Call of Duty, like Nazi zombie vibes from this too. Yeah. Same thing around the same time as when the cusp of zombies was at the forefront of every teenager's mind. So they're trying to like hit on the premise of that. And I even got, and this movie came out way later, and we actually reviewed this movie. It was the first movie that reviewed for the Halloween Extravaganza 2 last year, was Psycho Goreman.
Oh,
kind of the same thing. This wacky, like, very practical effect driven, heavy costume driven movie. So I don't know. I really liked it. The thing I didn't like, two things, and I'm sorry, I want to preface this. You don't have a lot to say about it.
No.
So that's why I'm talking a lot.
That's fine.
Because I know that we've talked about this in the past where I like talk over you because you have ideas, but I know you don't have a lot to talk about.
Right.
And I do, because I really liked this movie. So just to say, I'm not trying to cut Tosh off or anything. I just know you don't have a whole hell of a lot to say. So
not really, no.
I'm going for it. This is my show now. Luke is gone. You're not here anymore. It's my show.
You're just going to talk to yourself.
Yep, it's just me. Anyways, two things I didn't like. So the special effects are not good. The blood in this movie,
was terrible.
It's straight pink. Like you can just tell that it's fake blood or paint. It's not good.
Yeah, low budget.
Very low budget. Kind of bummed me out. But you know what? I'll take it over CGI blood any day. I'll just, that's fine. Other thing, they should have just made it a foreign film. Like, the acting is bad enough. Throw fake accents on the top of it. It muddied it up. It distracted me from the character development that I wanted to see, because there was a crew of guys. In the beginning, it kind of went through. It was very fast. But it went through. And it kind of showed each character, like there was a sniper guy, Alexi. I really was excited for him, but he was the strong silent type. He didn't want to say anything. But in the beginning, when they showed him, it was like it was snowing, and he was catching snowflakes on his tongue, So there was clearly some kind of like character development with it. There was like the leader of the crew who dies early on. He gets his intestines ripped out, which was
bad.
Another really bad practical effect or special effect kind of thing.
Yeah, they were like dragging on the ground as they're pulling him away, and it's just like,
oh yeah, it clearly rubbery and just not really well done. But he had like this really tough guy kind of vibe around him, but his accent was so fucking bad. Every time he spoke, I was just like, God damn. And then there was like, I couldn't tell if he was Filipino or Asian or Hawaiian, maybe. He just had like this, he was a darker skinned, bigger guy, but he was the one that had like the hammer thing. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, okay, I want to know more about these characters. And they're trying to do small character development.
Barely.
With the time that they had, because mind you, this was only an hour 24.
It was a very quick movie.
So, going from yesterday's Suspiria to today's hour 24, Frankenstein's Army.
This one flew by.
Yeah, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We're really cruising here. If they were going to do the fake accent thing, just fucking get people that can speak German or Russian or whatever, and I'll just read the subtitles. because I felt like I had to read the subtitles anyways to understand what their shitty accents were saying.
Right.
You know? So that kind of bummed me out. Those are really the only two things that I was kind of like, I wish they would have done better. If it was a higher budget, I know the special effects would have been better. The storyline isn't like fantastic, but there was some weird twists and turns.
At least it made some sense.
Yeah, there was a beginning, a climax, a twist, and an end. You know, like the twist that happened was that the cameraman was actually the one who was hired by the Russian army to go in and get the doctor. You know, so these guys think they're going to rescue the Russian crew that needs help, when really there wasn't. And he was carrying a device around that was jamming their radios. So it was kind of like, oh, shit, like a big twist. The climax is when he meets the doctor and kind of figures out that the doctor's just a plain old crazy person.
Crazy.
He's just a crazy person, you know, and that abuses kids and animals and stuff, and then realizes he can reactivate people's brains after they've been dead and mix and match. It's just very, very out there. But there's the climax, and then there was the end where the last survivor of the crew steals the camera, says "fuck you" to the guy who hires everyone.
Cuts off the scientist's head.
Yeah, cuts the scientist's head off, and then he brings it all back to Stalin, and at the very end, it's a picture of him and Stalin, like, waving for victory.
What the heck?
the credits roll, you know? So it's just this kind of, like, it was fine. It was cohesive, you know? It had this fun kind of quippy thing. I like movies like this. They don't take themselves seriously. They're not trying to be overly scary. There was a couple of weird scenes where I was like, was that supposed to be a jump scare?
Yeah.
You know? But it didn't get executed well. So I wish those kind of were done differently, because the most, like, none of this was scary, but, like, the things that were, you know, in horror or kind of got my adrenaline running for a minute is when he was running from all of these things. Oh, and that was the other thing. The sets of this movie. Like, where the fuck was this filmed at?
Yeah, I feel like it just kept changing. Like,
there was so much.
At one point, they just kept going downstairs, and I was like, how many floors are in this building?
Right. Yeah, because they enter in at ground level, and they're supposed to be going, like, to the basement, which is very strange, you know, like... They did a good job with it, though, because every different floor and every different area had, like, different things going on, and then the enemies changed in there. Like, it felt very video gamey to me, you know? Like, they were in these tight corridor hallways, and, like, everything that was in there had, like, short blades that they were poking at each other with, and then they were in, like, this grinding room, and that's where Propeller Head came out in, and then they were in, like, the I don't know what it was, but they were hanging all the bodies in there, kind of like
that one was cool,
like the butcher room, if you will. But there was, like, big guys in there that were, like, pulling everything up and hanging them by strings. And then the last one was when they were in, like, the doctor, doctor's office or whatever, and there was, like, the nurse character that was in there, and the little guy with the two legs that was running around, you know. So everything was it all was cohesive.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that in a movie, is when things were kind of thought out. The budget wasn't there, clearly. No. The actors weren't there, clearly, but it was cohesive.
Because of the budget.
Yeah, it was cohesive, and I really appreciate that. We rate movies two different ways around here. We either say pick, meaning that you should go and watch the movie, it was worth my time, or Tasha's time, or Luke's time, so we think it would be worth yours, or flick, which means it's not worth your time in watching, and you should probably just pick a different movie. And then we also give it a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And there's sometimes, more often than not, I give a higher score, but flick the movie because I don't think it was necessarily worth the time to watch it, or vice versa. Maybe it was worth your time to watch it, it just wasn't a good movie overall. Which I don't know how your score will land us today, but we do not tell each other our scores at the end of the movies. We just write them down and then come and record the episode. So that way it kind of gives us a little bit more of a talking point if we need to. For me personally, I'm going to pick this movie. I don't know what you were thinking, but I think the entire 18 minutes before this, when I've been rambling on my own, kind of sells the point of why I would pick it. What about you?
I would flick it. I'm sure you're not shocked.
No, I'm not.
I was definitely, like, falling asleep a little bit during that.
Yeah.
It didn't keep my attention.
Yeah, I understand that. So. I don't blame you at all for that. What'd you give it out of 10?
4 out of 10.
A 4. I can't say that I'm surprised. I actually expected a little bit lower from you, but you always are a little bit more lenient when it comes to your number of ratings.
Yeah.
I give this a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
I didn't mind it at all. I again, go listen to the first 18 minutes of this episode, and you'll understand why. I think if we got a movie like this that had a little bit more budget.
Yeah, I think that's why I gave it a higher score, because the concept is good.
Yeah.
But it just, like you said, the budget, the acting, the special effects, like, it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, I had a hard time having it keep my attention. So
hey, I get it. I get that. If you are interested in seeing what else we are watching in the month of October, we are releasing a review every single day for the Halloween Extravaganza 3. Be sure to subscribe and comment or like if you agree or disagree. We have several movies that we've done before this one, and several
go back
movies.
And listen to our old ones.
Yeah, and we have several more movies to come. I don't think we introduced ourselves, so if you listened all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
My name's Vox.
And I'm Natasha.
And we'll see you later.
Thanks. Bye.